Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Dion's Daily Dose. So, Delano Scaife, he says he's trying to log in right now. He's having issues with his camera, but he did say he will be here. So, for those of you just joining us, I know a couple minutes late. I was trying to wait it out. He says he's trying to connect, so we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. We've been in communication. He said I got him the link. He's trying to follow it. I don't know if he says he's having an issue with his camera where it's blocking him. So in the meantime, we're going to show you. So unfortunately, hurry up and wait. Right. But hello, Mary. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. All of you that are there. He says he's connecting. So in the meantime, get a little, I don't know. Do you guys think, oh man, let me edit that real quick. There we go. So do you think, I can't figure out a way to make this thing go any slower or faster. Do you guys think that that's too fast, too slow, or you think it works? In the meantime, I have a little graphic that a gentleman in 1st District created that highlights some of the differences between candidates. I'm going to show you that. I gave him the link, right? I gave him the link last night. He checked it this morning. I'm referring to Delano. He checked it this morning and said, he asked, do you want me to connect about 6:50? I said, yes, please. And then he sent me a message a couple minutes before, and he said that it's loading. I said, okay. You know what? Let me see if I can get this to work, and I'm going to show you. I think I might have to bring this up on there. In the meantime, here is a graphic showing the differences between the candidates in the 1st District. There you go. I was asked by this gentleman down in the bottom right corner. Can't really see the name because of the way that the graphic is, but his name is Jordan Sirota, right? And he asked all the candidates for their stances on various things, from the national debt to repealing the Patriot Act. You can see everything at the top, right? Cuts to decrease national debt. Now, he tried to get in touch with all of the candidates. He actually took quite a while. He never received a response from Mark Leyva, and he says he never really received a response from Mr. Scaife. So if he figures out how to get connected, we're going to take this opportunity to see where he stands on these important issues. So looks like, the main three that kind of everybody knows, right? Me, Mont, and Spencer. Cuts to decrease the national debt, we're all the same, right? We all want to do that. Audit the Federal Reserve, yes, we all like to do that. I personally want to abolish the Federal Reserve. We should have control of our own currency. The Federal Reserve, there's nothing federal about it. Decrease globalization, yes, all the way across, right? 1, 2, 3. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Oppose NAFTA and TPP. Oh, there he is. Okay, excellent. So let's go. It looks like Delano has joined us. So we're going to go back here. There we go. All right, now we're going to have to fix this up on the fly. Your camera is very, very dark. There we go. Okay, now we're going to have to fix this on the fly as far as audio issues go. So I apologize to all the listeners if there are some serious audio problems. Are you able to hear me okay, Delano?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Are you getting any audio feedback loop?
No.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Here today we have Delano Scaife. What is your website? I'm going to drop it in the chat so people can check it out when they get a chance.
It's Scaife for Indiana, the number 4 .com.
All right, did I get that right? There we go. Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. So you're currently a Lake County Sheriff's Department officer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. And
so I'm a sergeant.
Sergeant.
I've been with the Lake.
Sorry, Sarge.
No. I just got put up. I've been with the Lake County Sheriff Department going on about 9 years. It'll be about 9 years in November, and I was one of those 4. A lot of people might not know my name, but they say it rings a bell. But a lot of people connect my name to the accident that I had back in 2012. So a lot of people, they seen my name before, but they couldn't make the connection of when or how did they, hear my name. But when a couple of the debates that we went to, and when people bring up the story about the Ford crash and also that got struck by the drunk driver, they automatically remember back to 2012 when the accident happened.
Right. Yeah, you were involved in a very, very bad accident, right? Where somebody ran off the road and hit. Weren't you with some fellow officers, and it was a hit and run, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. We was jogging around the perimeter, and the guy that hit us, he came from a bar. He was drunk, and he hit us going about 70 miles per hour in the Yukon.
So I say you're lucky to be alive.
Oh yeah. Gotta have my back.
Yeah, definitely.
God kept me here for a reason.
How long did the recovery take for that?
From when I got struck to when I went back to work, it took about 10 months. My arm was paralyzed for about 6 to 7 months. But to this day, I don't have full use of my pinky and ring finger. It's kind of clawed, but it's whenever the nerves, I guess, regenerate, and if they gain strength, I'll be able to use the full function on my hand.
Gotcha. Did that, just out of curiosity, did that affect your ability to move up in the department or have any issues with getting promoted or anything like that?
Well, I was on no inmate contact for about maybe 6 years. 6 years. And during that time, I've been going to Mayo Clinic for different surgeries. And when they was done with the surgery, I was trying to basically get off of, I guess, no overtime restrictions, so I could, perform full duties and, working over to help out with the jail. So I've been about 6 years before they finally said, they did what they could do, and I can go back as full time. But I still had the no inmate restriction. But this accident, in a way, basically took the opportunity away to become a police officer. So, because you got to have 2 hands to pass the standardized testing for your gun qualifications. Oh. My left hand is not strong enough to hold the gun if I, fire it.
Right.
The gun.
So a lot of people don't quite understand or don't know how because when you work for county, right? Some counties, I know LaPorte's the same way. It sounds like Lake is as well. You have to put in your time at the jail first, right? Most you 2 years. You have to be there, right? But
Yeah,
since
they would prefer.
yeah, but since your accident, are you still at the jail then?
Yeah, I'm still at the jail. So basically, when I got back, we had this communication system named Telmate, and it basically took away the face-to-face visits, and you do everything over the computer. And it's like a very complex visitation slash communication system when it comes to phones, or inmates they could basically text other ones or watch movies and stuff like that. So when I came back, they just implemented the Telmate, so I became a specialty officer when it came to visitations and the Telmate. And I was that specialty officer for about 6, 7 years. Then they dissolved that position, and I went back to the turn, uh, my testing, and I scored #1 on the sergeant test, and I got promoted about a month ago.
Nice, congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. So let me ask you this: as a jail officer, what are you happy with what they've done as far as the pandemic? Things and the precautions and stuff like that at your facility.
Yeah, actually, when it first struck around like January, February, the sheriff he took the initiative to try to stop, inmates being, transported to Lake County from different facilities, especially Cook County, and he tried his hardest to work with the judges so they can come with something to kind of put a hold on
It looks like we're not.
on transportation. Only bring it serious if it's like a petty misdemeanor, but like them to write them a ticket or a long form suspect. But even then, when I intake process, we have to put a person out, basically like a quarantine session to 14 days to make sure they have no symptoms, and if they're cleared by medical, they will classify them to a general population.
Okay, all right. So we have kind of a unique lineup, in my opinion, of Republican candidates, where we have one who's like a street officer, right? We've got Spencer Lemons, who's on the street as a police officer. Then we have you, who works at the county jail, right? And then we have me, who was a prison guard at Indiana State Prison. And there are those. I'm gonna cut it off before anybody says anything. There are those that are offended by the word guard. Get over it. I was a correctional officer at Indiana State Prison, so we kind of had the three stages, right? We have and which is one reason why I kind of wanted to get Spencer on the show. I think it would be interesting, especially if we could get all three of us. But when you're a police officer, you do deal with people in very scary situations. You deal with them at the worst, time of their life, their worst day they're having. But you see them come in for the booking process, and you get them for the short term, right? When they come in and they're processed into the county facility, you get them for that period. And then once they work their way through the system, right, and assuming that they get convicted, then they go on to the long-term facilities, Westville, ISP, something like that. What do you like? What have you seen? Like, obviously, both of us could sit here for days with crazy jail or / prison stories, right? But what have you seen as far as that in and out mentality? That's kind of what I wanted to focus on, if you don't mind. The people that like you see them come in and you're like, oh, there's Joe again, or the frequent flyers, like that kind of mentality. Go ahead.
So, actually, the reason why I kind of went towards corrections, because I knew sometime in my life I would like to get into politics, and I wanted to make a difference And my family have a whole line of law enforcement officers when it comes to Cook County deputy sheriffs on the correction side and on the police side, and Chicago police. So I wanted to work, in law enforcement to see people, like you said, at their lowest state. And as I've seen over the years, that a lot of people that come back is because it's either two things: they have lack of opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
so they try to do what they got to do to survive. Second, they can have a job or whatnot, but they don't have the support systems, and a lot of people have a lot of addictions, and they really can't. They're trying their hardest to fight off, but they don't have basically the tools and the support they need to overcome that. And you just have, and sometimes you have a mixture of both. You have people that don't have opportunities, and they've been through the system. They finally get like a job, but they've been so conditioned to the lifestyle. It's basically their addiction, like hustling and stuff like that, and
Right.
that's all they know. So seeing there, I could see the disconnect on basically how government has basically influenced or impacted, their constituents, and every decision you make will affect some lives. But mainly, these people, they really aren't bad people
Right.
per se. Probably like, I can't give you like a good percentage to be
Yeah.
like 70-30, but not all inmates are like violent inmates and stuff like that. A lot of them deal with things that the normal person couldn't fathom of, or understand what type of background they come from. So if we have better programs and like better opportunities for people, especially get them at their youth, you could bring down that percentage of offenders and stuff like that. Because a lot of offenders coming in are under the age of 30, under the age of 25. So
Right. Right. Then, and
mhm.
I think that's really important. It's something that uh, I think we need to focus on as a society too, because we always talk about, building more prisons and holding people accountable and tough on crime, but we never seem, as a society, right? There are people who talk about it, but as a society, we don't seem to focus on the reasons these people are committing crimes, right?
Mhm.
The lifestyle that leads them down the road where they feel that's their only choice.
Yeah, they lack hope in a sense, in a
Right.
way. They lack hope, and if there's a change, they really don't see it because they don't feel like that change or that opportunity is for them.
Right.
In a
Right.
way, they've been so hurt.
So a couple of things. First of all, we were going to do this yesterday, but there was a scheduling issue, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my fault.
It's okay. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that I didn't, put anything out there. We agreed on Saturday. It's okay. He thought it was Sunday, so here we are. We got it. We got it sorted. The big question that I have for you is, so I know that in 2018 you ran for state representative, which awesome, because we need more people to step up and run for offices. We have far too many,
Hmm.
elites that hold on to these positions forever, and it just rotates between them. So we need far more people that run. But you ran as a Democrat. So this time you're running as a Republican. Can you tell me and everybody why?
Yeah, so like I said, as a child, I always wanted to make a difference in society, and I always know that sometime in my life I will be a politician. And during that time, um, I was basically, well, before I ran, I was basically grooming myself to learn, the system, the political system, how to, campaign and stuff like that. And with the old sheriff under John Blanchett, he was the Democratic chairman, and he knew that, I want to make a difference in society, and he knew that I was interested in politics. So he had me go through Lake County Young Dems, and from there, I became the vice chairman and became the chairman interim. Once the chairman that was there, I guess he was like 35 or 36 at the time, so he was no longer qualified for the Young Democrats. And there was an opportunity for District 11 at the State House, and my long-term goal was to get into the federal government. And basically, it just made sense to run for District 11 because, for one, I lived there, and two, basically my beliefs and ideologies align with the people. So it wasn't like I would be like a liberal Democrat trying to run for that area.
Okay.
And my basically I'm pro-life, pro-God, pro-family, pro-traditional family. So joining the Democratic Party, running as a Democrat, I kind of had some pushback because I wasn't what they, I guess, classified as a typical Democrat, and I really didn't fit the platform. And during the primary, before the election, one of the members in the Republican Party they knew about me. They knew about my history. I was a board member of Lake County Right to Life. They knew of the different other boards I was on that promoted, traditional family values and stuff like that. So they was like, you run as a Democrat, but basically all your platform fits the Republican Party, and you're not going to win District 11 as a Democrat. And once this election is over, consider becoming a Republican, and you'll be better off in your career as a Republican because all your beliefs align with the Republican Party. And during that election, that was true. Like after the primary, the the Democratic Party just cut all ties to me. They cut communication. My friends who worked within
They
the
didn't have a
state,
need for you anymore, right?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I have friends that was connected to some of the people down in the state. They basically said I was a lost cause. That I'm not really a Democrat anyway, and my beliefs didn't fit their platform. So my friend told me that the Democratic Party is a different beast. It's a different party. And you see that now. It's a good thing that I did leave the Democratic Party because the things they support is not what I believe in, and they
Right.
couldn't accept a conservative Democrat. So
Yeah. So that's actually a good question, or a good thing that you bring up, I should say, and it leads to my question, which is, growing up, right? Did you see like a lot of people pushing for, like, not pushing, but the belief, I guess, for lack of a better term, the belief that the Democrat Party was for the people? And do you see the big divide now between, that and the progressivism that has taken away or taken over that party, at least in
yeah,
optics?
yeah. Growing up, my family registered Democrats, but during that time, under the Clinton administration and stuff like that,
Yeah.
of course, it was a difference between like pro life, pro choice, death penalty, against the death penalty, uh, programs, or giving money to the trickle down effect. That's basically what kind of the platform was like, kind of set the difference. But it was a lot of people that was pro life that were Democrats. But now, after Obama became president, you could kind of see the Democratic Party taking a shift towards progressiveness and socialism and stuff like that.
Right.
And I saw that, and me running as a Democrat, I believe that if they could get a good candidate in there, I could kind of make an adverse effect, at least in my authority as a state representative. In that way, because I was conservative.
Right. Right. So you were far more of a conservative Democrat than this kind of off the ledge socialist, let's, give everyone everything type of Democrat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I believe that to make America great, to make people great, is to help them get to their highest potential.
Okay.
And sometimes you need programs to get them, on their feet, but you have to have something that could train them and teach them to make themselves productive. Because if you keep them on programs, they're just going to be dependent, and it's like you're actually making more harm than you are helping them to be productive. And that was always my ideology. That was always my focus on how can I see a certain situation, make it better, make it more productive, bring prosperity or growth to that situation.
Right.
And
Okay. No, that's good. We need people who are willing to stand up to their for their values. Have you
mhm.
heard about like for example, and it just goes to expose the Democrat Party more and more. Have you seen the rep from Detroit who spoke out about the hydrochloroquine and said basically thank you Trump for mentioning it because I wouldn't have thought about it. She got censored by the party, and then Vernon Jones, the Georgia representative who endorsed Donald Trump, basically they're trying to run him out of office completely. Did you hear about all that?
Yeah, and actually, before even before this coronavirus and stuff like that, is the conservative voice is basically being censored and blocked from social media and the news outlets, because now if you mention anything conservative, you could be put in like Facebook jail. So it's not surprising that people that come up and stand up and talk about what is right, even it's not even about the party, but speaking up for what is right. If the Democratic person says something that they agree with a Republican, they're ousted out or looked as a Trump supporter, a racist. You hate black people, you hate gays, and sometimes it gets to the extreme that when you speak the truth and what is right, the other side plays off of people's pain
Right.
instead of
Right.
facts. They'll play off, the black pain, or you know, basically to divide. They take feelings and make that narrative as facts, and it's not really that way.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like immigration, it's a law and order issue.
Yes.
ICE
Yeah.
is following the laws that they wrote, but they twisted. All they're being racist. They're going out finding immigrants and deporting them, and it's not that. It's not that way. ICE
Right.
doesn't get notification until that person goes into jail. Then the alert go out. Then ICE grab the people from jail, not from
Right.
people's houses. So
Yeah. It's not like they're going door to door kicking down houses. Or kicking down, going house to house, kicking down doors. I mean, I'm
right.
actually looking for something because I don't know if you've seen this. Are you familiar with? So we have a whole bunch of people running for this seat, right? You and I
Mm-hmm.
are technically running against each other, but on the left there are 14 people vying for the same seat. Now, one of these guys, Ryan Farrar, probably the most progressive of them, far left, Bernie supporter, the whole 9 yards, right? Wants to give everything away. Uh, he made some comments on Twitter. Have you seen them where he wishes death on basically people who support the president? Have you seen those?
Yeah, I've seen some of the comments he made. It's on Facebook, especially he attacked that one candidate, Cameron from
Yeah,
Portage,
Cameron
and
Wild. Yeah.
yeah. So uh, I met Ryan a couple of times, and when I ran as a Democrat, uh, I had it was a charity basketball game,
Okay.
and what I wanted to do was with that game was have Democrat candidates play basketballs against the Republican candidates and kind of open it up for a meet and greet for all candidates, so people can basically see all the candidates, all their views and their beliefs and stuff like that, to make people informed. Because I'm a big supporter of informing people with all the information. I don't want to, take an opportunity and hide information from people when they deserve that information. So that it didn't go as planned because during that time, both parties and some of the candidates on the other side, the Republican side, didn't want to play because it wasn't a fundraiser for them, and basically they thought that the fundraiser would go towards my campaign, and it wasn't. But yeah, so Ryan Farrar, he attended the game, and we played basketball. You know, and I met with him, talked with him, stuff like that. And he's very progressive, so the way he views things is different from what I views. But for him to shell out his beliefs and what he stands for on Twitter is very powerful things that he's saying. But
right. Well, he wants people to die.
Right. Yeah,
specifically, as a matter of fact, my wife put it up there. He actually told me today to drink some bleach. I put out a open letter. I'm trying to get to it now so that I can show you. I'm just curious as to whether or not you. Let's see here. That's where we're at right now. Give me just half a second. Here it is. Okay, so I'm going to screen share here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Nope. There we go. Okay, so this is my Twitter account, and it's an open letter, right, that I posted calling for all the Democrats running in District 1 to condemn the comments made by him. Unfortunately, he blocked me. I do have screenshots, so I can't show you the actual. See, if you see, he blocked me after he said a bunch of stuff about free speech, that basically he can, say what he wants. But it says, quote, may it disproportionately kill many maggots so that we never be placed in this sort of predicament again. And then someone responded to him and he said, I'm only running to represent good people, not like you. So I called for all of the Dem candidates to disavow this, right? To say, this is not what we stand for. And so far it's silence. It's crickets and a clink of silverware, right? Nothing. Do you think that this is the kind of thing that realistically that the Democrat Party stands for now?
You have some people that believe that, but I think that the other candidates probably not responding because they probably don't consider him as a real serious candidate, and basically they allowing him to basically hang himself.
Right. And you know what? That's a fair, valid point too, because I can see the kind of the thought process that if I respond to this, it gives him legitimacy, right? Because let's face it, he's living off of the attention that his candidacy is, at least my opinion. That's what it's all about for him, is the shock value, the attention. He got on, my Twitter, said a few things, which obviously I took screenshots of, and then, whined about how he can say whatever he wants because of free speech, and then blocked me so I couldn't say anything because free speech only applies if you agree, right? It doesn't apply to the people that you disagree with, on the left. Do you think that it does legitimize him to speak out against it, or do you think it's something that a lot of people think but maybe won't say? Because they have yet.
Well, it's not the norm, and a big percentage of people that feel that. You might have like a small percentage of people that kind of feel where he's coming from or have that type of anger, but it shows ignorance, and like I said, he's shown his true colors. So of course the other party, the Democrats, ain't really going to step up to it, because in a way he's helping them.
I do have it.
He's helping them in their election to basically count him out and get votes away from Ryan. But the whole free speech piece is just that.
Yeah, there it is right there. I was able to get a screenshot of it. And of course, like I said, he touts free speech and then blocks people who disagree with him, which is unfortunate. Let me switch this back. So my other question,
Yeah, he's using free speech as a cop out
Yeah.
to say ignorant and ridiculous stuff. Because, like, okay, let's say you have the opportunity to be the congressional candidate for District 1. Even though you with the other party, you have to represent District 1. That's everybody from Republicans to Democrats, Libertarians, people who have different, beliefs and ideologies than you. You still their voice. You still got to represent them. You still got to do best by them.
Right, exactly.
And for him to basically,
yeah, that's what I posted in the letter.
He's basically isolating himself from the candidate and from the people for the constituents.
Right, that's what I posted in the letter. Is not everyone is going to agree with our politics.
It blows my mind how,
how can you
but to say you drink bleach is ridiculous.
Yeah. And again, he's trying to use which is what the news media has put into their heads. They're unfortunately our media is as much responsible for the hate that's going on, if not more, than the people who just believe everything they see. Unfortunately, but we have a situation where we have such a division in this country now between people who believe what the media tells them about, the president of the United States and Republicans in general. They believe this, they want that. And the people that actually go out and learn the facts. So when you came over to the Republican Party, when you made the decision, even though your values have been conservative, when you realized that, like, for example, Vernon Jones put out a video where he said, I didn't leave the Democrat Party, the party left me, right? They've lost all the values that they kind of held when, at least allegedly held, when, like, I was a kid. A lot of my family, at least believed the things that the Democrat Party said. But unfortunately now the news media and their talking heads have push that hate so much, and you don't see Republicans going out running people down and hurting people because they have a hat on. That's coming from the left. But I have a chart here. A lot of people don't know the real differences between the candidates running. There's a guy who had sent out a questionnaire. He told me, and he said he was unable to hear, or he didn't hear back from a couple of the candidates, you and Mark Leyva, which Mark Leyva, I just want to put out there, he hasn't, as far as I know, still, he hasn't done anything other than put out some weird Facebook posts, but he hasn't gone to any of the events. I will, can you see this? I will zoom in a little bit more at the top so you can read. So basically he was asking, do you believe that there should be cuts to decrease the national debt? That's pretty much a no-brainer. As a Republican, I assume you're conservative fiscally and believe that we should reduce the national debt, right?
You're breaking up real bad.
Okay, hold on. Let me try this again. Okay. How about now? Is it okay now? There, let me try that.
So basically...
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so as a Republican, I assume you're fairly fiscally conservative, right? And believe that we should cut and reduce the national debt, right? We all seem to kind of agree on that. Okay, so his name, right? Just so you know, his name is Jordan Sirota, or Sirota, Sirota.
Okay.
Do you remember hearing from this guy at all? Because he says he sent this out to all of the Republican candidates to kind of get the differences between them. And he claims that he didn't hear back from you. I don't know. I gave him my answers, and he got his answers from Mont and Spencer, but he says that he didn't hear back from you or Mark. I'm not trying to put you
I would check my email. Yeah, I would have to check my email.
Okay.
But basically, everything that Spencer said, except for the opposed the right to work.
Okay. Do you oppose right to work, or are you for right to work?
I'm for it.
You're for right to work laws. Okay, fair enough. Let's see here. So he does not oppose NAFTA and TPP. Spencer, I'm talking about. He does not oppose NAFTA and TPP. I do. Mont Hanley is opposed to NAFTA and TPP, but he's not opposed to free trade deals. Spencer supports the USMCA, which I do as well, but I personally am opposed to NAFTA and TPP. Do you align with that, or how do you feel about NAFTA and TPP? Do you oppose them or support them?
Oh, hold on. Sure. No, I oppose them as well.
You oppose them as well. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the pre-1967 Israeli border as basis for negotiation. I kind of had to make sure what he was asking on that, so I'm going to explain what he want as. Unfortunately, like I didn't know, right? What exactly he was asking, so I got into it a little more. What he's asking is, when we're trying to figure out the peace for the Middle East in Palestine and Israel, do you think that the pre-1967 borders should be used, or do you think that we should come up with a modern solution?
So basically, can you repeat that? You was breaking up a little bit.
Sure, no problem. When we're talking about trying to, like Trump, he's trying to figure out how to bring peace to the Middle East, right? And particularly in Israel, Palestine, that whole situation over there. This guy's question is the borders pre-1967. Should we use that as the basis for trying to, divvy up the land, as it were, or not? Should we figure out something more modern?
We should figure out something more modern.
Okay. Do you support an independent Palestine? Or do you think it should be like it is, where they're kind of under the rule of it?
Everybody should have a right to have their own country.
Right. Okay.
Palestinians as a people, they have the right to, come together state as Israel did.
Okay. Are you in agreement with President Trump's immigration policies?
Yeah.
Sounds like it from what you were talking about before.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the Patriot Act? Do you think it should be repealed?
Yeah. Hold on. You said the Patriot Act being repealed?
Yeah. Do you support repealing the Patriot Act, or keeping it, or adjusting it?
Yeah, we should adjust it. We should reform it.
Okay. So you're kind of with Mont Hanley on that. You support limits on it, but don't want it repealed.
Right.
Okay. All right. Cool. I appreciate you clarifying that stuff. Spencer and Mont have a couple of different stances, but it sounds like for the most part, you kind of line up with those two on that, at least, especially with the Patriot Act, wanting it to stay in. I want it repealed. I think we can do better, things than what the Patriot Act does. It allows, too much spying, but it's not, like I said before, it's not a debate. I was just wondering where you stood on that, because he wasn't able to get your stance. Again, according to him, I don't know, but I'm guessing he reached out on Facebook, because that's where he reached out to me on. You may want to, I hate how, here, I'm going to close this. That way we don't have to, hopefully it'll speed things up. I hate the way Facebook takes messages
and hide them.
And puts them into a separate folder that you have to go searching for. I have missed a couple of messages that way, the people that aren't on my friends list. So very, very frustrating. But I appreciate, you answering. So let's talk about, do you have kids?
I
You do have
have three.
children?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Three.
So how many do you have?
Three.
Three. Okay. I got five, two adults that live on the East Coast and three here. So how has this whole e-learning thing affected you? Were your children going to school before, or were they already doing e-learning, or?
Well, my youngest was born last month. My oldest, she just made 3 a few weeks ago. So Victoria, she attends the Montessori in Valparaiso, and the e-learning for us is not a problem because my wife, she's staying at home as I'm working, at the jail.
Mhm.
But I guess for me, it was beneficial because how the Montessori is set up, that the children learn at their own pace, and basically kind of like the openness to create, I guess, to create more of um, a learning experience by letting them create or learn the way that they learn. So it's not like a traditional, schooling that we have, that you have certain standards and rules that you go by to
Right.
learn. But Montessori is more open. So I do the homework is basically like you create certain things, and you try to emulate what the teacher does. So they'll send like a video, how to do the each program, each activity, and basically you try to teach the child the same way, but if she deviates from that, you basically try to not tell her what to do, but kind of lead her back to, the answer, I guess. So
Right. Right.
e-learning is not, it's not, for right now, the 2-year-old is not hard for me, but if
Yeah.
they was older, that'd be a different story.
Okay. Yeah. So your children are kind of young for
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Now I've actually heard some really good things about the Montessori school type of setup. So are you, just out of curiosity, I wasn't even gonna ask this, but when you mentioned the Montessori school, are you in favor of school choice, of being able to send your child to the school that you want without having to say pay the huge fees that are associated with private schools, like vouchers and stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm for school choice. I'm for allowing opportunities for education, because for me, I went through both the public and private school
Yep.
system, and I see the big difference. But I'm not dissing the public schools, but it is failed, and
Yeah.
it causes the one for charter schools and sending the kids to private schools. But if we could find a way to strengthen the public schools and bring the standards up to what a charter and a private school can provide, you won't see a big shift from public to private and charters and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another point too, is these people that want to, in my opinion anyway, the ones that are so against school choice, right? The ones that want children to be forced to go to the public school that's near them, or the parents have to pay a ton of money to send them to private school. It seems like they don't want to institute the changes that'll be necessary in order to bring the public schools up to the performance level of some of these charter schools or Montessori style schools or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates kind of a feedback loop type problem where, well, we don't want you to have choice because we feel that it's bad for the schools, but we don't want to institute the changes at the schools in order to make the schools better.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish people would see it that way, but they don't. Especially on the left side, they don't see it that way.
Yeah.
That by pushing public schools, even though it's failing, and try to support it, even though it's not doing anything for the interests of the children or expanding their education, career is you it's an adverse effect when it comes to society. How children learn, that's basically if you give them a quality education from the beginning, you'll have a better outcome when it comes to society. How not just learning like math and reading and science, but the common courtesies of how to respect
Yeah.
people and stuff like that. Have respect from different ideas and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
if you lack that
that's a fantastic
education,
point.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a
so if you
fantastic
lack that
point
education.
because we're seeing just a massive decrease, I believe. And I'm from the South originally, right? I'm from Southern Louisiana and then Southern Alabama, Mobile area. And there's just a different type of culture there. From when I came up, I used to get yelled at for calling women ma'am, right? That's how I was brought up. It's how, I was taught. 10 years old, that's how you refer to your teachers, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. And I didn't hear it like at all once we moved up to Indiana. The kids just don't say that. And I've noticed even down there when we went to visit, there are far less people now using those types of, deferential, respectful terms than there used to be. There's just a general lack of respect now for anyone else, which is why it's so frustrating to deal with some people that are unwilling to hear anyone else's point of view. They're convinced they're right and are unwilling to listen to facts. They're unwilling to talk to anyone else, hear anyone else. How do you deal with that? Like, I'm sure you encounter that all the time working at the jail. I know I used to at ISP, the people that were convinced they were right. It didn't matter what you had to say. Yeah, go ahead. How do you handle that?
They don't even want to say thank you. They don't even say thank you. You might get a gratitude at that.
Yeah.
It's over the decades, you can see how the education system is shifting to, like you said, it's almost like a progressive mindset that, you're the individual, your truth or your truths, regardless of anyone else's truths. If you believe that, and that's what you believe, you have the right to express yourself. But when you teach that, you take away, like you said, the facts, that you believe so much in your truths when it comes to the point when someone else has facts that will shatter your truth, it brings not hate, but kind of like animosity, because basically what you stand for is fault. And like, how do you feel when someone tell you you're wrong and you're at fault? And you could kind of see that being taught, not just at the colleges. They're starting to teach that now in the grammar schools. They teach you about like history and stuff and facts, but when it comes to the individual, they kind of rely on that to kind of build you up on your inward self. But when you get to college, then it's all about teamwork, and you kind of go against the grain.
Still here. Sorry, I had to turn the fan on. Getting warm.
Yeah. So when they teach you about to be the individual, not to let the world beat you down, kind of sugarcoat and make everything sweet and fine and dandy.
Right.
But once you get to college, it's the same thing, but it kind of contradicts itself. They teach you that, but at the same time, they want to teach you about teamwork, working together, and this and that. And it's kind of it has like I said, it has a bad effect, because when you get to the world, in reality, certain things aren't the way that they are. Sometimes things don't go as planned. You need to learn how to think. You need common sense to come up with different solutions to certain problems.
Right. Critical thinking. They don't want to teach critical thinking in schools anymore.
They don't.
Yeah, not at all. I remember when, I was in the the classes in grade school and then going into high school, there were critical thinking exercises. There were exercises where they wanted you to kind of think outside the box. What other ways can we solve this problem?
Right.
And now I'm hearing from my kids, those are virtually gone. They want the regurgitated answer. It's, memorization and regurgitation.
Right.
Right. It's no way to learn.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, it's not. It's not. And not just that. Everything is, on the internet, and people can Google the answer, stuff like that, just to make by and get good grades. And like, where's the checks and balances with that? You have people graduating with degrees that basically look it up on the internet for an answer.
Yeah. That, that's actually a really, really good point, because with the advent of online learning, we ended up with an entire generation that has no clue of how to socially interact with people, right?
Right.
They did, either homeschool, right? Because my precious baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did homeschool, got their participation trophies or whatever, and then they go on to online learning, which, don't get me wrong, online learning is fantastic. It has some great, utilizations, great uses. But if that's all you do, and then you get your degree, you, like you said, you Google the answer to find out, what you're supposed to put in this box. You don't actually learn the material. You get your degree, and then you go to your office, and you have no idea how to interact with the real world. You have no idea how to deal with real people, and then their heads explode.
Right. And you're dropping gems today. And that's you kind of see that's what's becoming a downfall to America when it comes to the future generation. Because when I was younger, like, me and my age is kind of unique, because as a child I saw the unfolding of family values to being the individual when it comes to learning, and also the internet, the social medias, all of that taking away the social aspects of communicating with people and stuff like that. And I hate to say it, but I kind of saw that you see more of that stuff when it comes to the left side with the socialism, and programs, and try to make everything technological and make things of ease. But when you do that, you take away the humanistic part from it, striking your mind to spark it to learn and come up with different ideas, to think for yourself, to work for yourself. All the conservative values that the Republicans stand for, it shows like the humanistic side of society, and to bring change and to make yourself a better person. But the left doesn't see it that way. All it wants to do is just make things easier and make you dependent. And that's bad, because, like you said, you lose critical thinking. When reality hits you, your faith is weak and you have no hope.
Right.
And
I think that personally, I believe that that's a strong factor for why some of these people are so enveloped by hate, right? Because they have been taught to feel entitled. They have been taught that the world owes me something, and the conservatives are against that. They're making me not get what is owed to me. So when the media tells them this president is this or that, they swallow it, and they're like, they're to blame. The people who voted for him are the reason I'm not taken care of in life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah. In high school, we watched a documentary, and it was about soldiers from I think it was World War II, and how their family would mail them clips from the newspapers, and how the soldiers would send back letters to their family, basically telling them, "Don't believe the media. What they're saying is not true." And they
Yeah.
was writing, you know, actual events that's going on over there, and how some of the government got wind of that, and they will go into the letters for the ship out, and they will erase certain information, or they will write certain things in as it's getting mailed back to the family. And a lot of the soldiers coming back said they would never believe media ever again or the newspaper because they twist the truth. And from my own personal experience with the accident, the certain things that I saw in the newspaper and in the media, they was kind of talking trash against the officers and stuff like that, and we're the ones that got hurt. But yet we was some of the newspaper articles made us look like the bad guy, and it's like, well, how do you know what happened? You wasn't even there.
Right.
You're coming up with these facts that didn't even happen. You was nowhere present.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how are you coming up with the story? So just in my own personal experience and listening to those soldiers and listening to how sometimes the government would twist the truth, you really can't believe everything that you read and see. You have to search for the answer. You have to do research. You have to look at different medias. You have to basically get as much information as you can to try to find the truth.
Right.
And I went to CPAC in February, and from there, I saw how the media is basically just attacking the conservative voice, and like how they show certain things with Trump. They would take something like a snippet,
right,
play that, and basically trash them for that, but they would never show you the full clip of what happened.
Right.
They just take something that was said out of context because you don't know what happened before that, and they would just nail them to the cross and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just crazy.
It's mind blowing how, and the sad part is, I have a few friends on my Facebook, for example, who I may not agree with politically, but for the most part, they keep it civil so we can have discussions. And it's so frustrating because they'll get on and be like, "Did you hear what your president just said?" And I'm like, "Actually, yes, because I watched the whole thing." Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, he said this. And I'm like, "Have you watched it?" And they're like, they'll put this big long comment and then be like, come back later and be like, "Oh, well, I watched it after I put the comment." Exactly. Right. Now look at what you said and, read what that's like the perfect example, right? Was the whole Charleston thing. You remember that, where it's, good people on both sides. So taken out of context. He was talking about he didn't have anything nice to say about the neo-Nazi groups and stuff like that. He was talking about the regular people who just wanted to preserve history, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the media took that and twisted it to say, "Oh, he's saying there are good people that are neo-Nazis," and that's not what he said. And even today, you still have plenty of people who believe that he meant that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Paul says, the Lysol BS now. And, like, when did he ever say to drink bleach, right? He didn't say anything like that, but that's what the left is running with. And Paul agrees with you. Amen. So, yeah, we see this degree of progressivism that is pushing against the conservative values of this nation. And it's good that we have people that are willing to stand up for it. So for what it's worth, like I've said to every other candidate, whoever gets the nomination, I will back 100%, whether it's me, whether it's you, whether it's Spencer or another. You got whoever gets it. If it's not me, I'm behind them 100%. I will knock doors for you. I'll make calls for you. So
yeah, we have to work together.
Absolutely. Well, that's the other thing too that I kind of wanted to touch on as the end of it is, can you imagine seriously the way that the left attacks each other? Because let's face it, they're eating each other.
Yeah.
We saw it before with the presidential race, Warren and Biden and Bernie and all that stuff just, and I know that's politics, but I'd like to see personally a race where we focus on policy and why someone would, be a better representative. instead of attacking personal character. Because look at the left. We have McDermott attacking everyone, and Mervin attacks saying this and this and that. Unfortunately, that's what's going on over there. And I'm glad that we can at least have a good sit-down conversation. And I think that we need more of that in our world. I was even willing to have a good sit-down conversation with Ryan Farrar, but of course he blocked me. So whatever. I don't think I was going to bring him on the show or anything, but he's still there. Looks like he might be frozen a little bit. Dun, dun, dun. Yep. Okay. We lost Delano. I don't know if he froze up or if it disconnected him. We'll give him a moment and see if he rejoins. If not, it's late anyway. So I appreciate everybody coming out. Once again, I will put the graphic up for the rest. For those of you who are still deciding who you would like to vote for, here it is. Here are the conservatives and their stances on what I believe are some of the most important issues, especially in District 1. We need to decrease the national debt. We have to. It's not even an option anymore. And as you can tell, all of the candidates are in favor of that. We don't know what Mark Leva wants because he won't answer anyone or show up for any debates. Audit the Federal Reserve. Absolutely. Like all three of us are absolutely wanting to audit the Federal Reserve, and I would like to abolish it. We all want to decrease globalization, at least allegedly. So here we go, right? I oppose NAFTA and TPP because if you actually look into what these programs do, the deals that were made, I don't think they're good for the United States. TPP especially, which is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, is absolutely horrible. I really want you to understand here. I like Spencer. He's a good guy as far as I can tell. But if you do not oppose the Trans-Pacific Partnership, then I worry. I worry what your voting record's going to be like. I support the USMCA as well, but I vehemently oppose Trans-Pacific Partnership. And NAFTA was not good for us. We lost a ton of industrial jobs under NAFTA. Right to work laws, right? So here's the deal with the right to work laws, and I'm gonna lay it out for you. In order to win this election, in order to win, not just get the nomination, but in order to win, we're going to need labor behind us. That's just the way it is. The left has a stranglehold on the union leadership, right? It just does. That's just the way it is. But the members of the unions, which I'm going to have one of those here tomorrow. Tomorrow, he's going to get kind of right up in my face and ask me those important questions that unions want answered. He's a union member that works at the mills. And I believe that we have to have someone who stands up for organized labor to a degree, right? Because unions can be good and they can be bad. Right to work laws in their current format, I think, do far more damage than good, because the worst part about the right to work laws, the way they're written, not only can you fire someone for no reason whatsoever, which happens frequently, and it's also used to cover up what could be considered discriminatory practices, right? But you can also have someone who opts out of being in the union, which is their right. However, the union has to represent them when it comes time for issues, right? When they have issues, the union has to represent them, even though they didn't pay. They chose not to pay union dues. It's some very flawed writing in the law, in my opinion, and I oppose it. I would like to see another version of it that doesn't penalize unions for those people that don't want to be in it and reward those people, because ultimately that's what it comes down to. These people can say, no, I don't want to pay my union dues, but then when they have an issue, the union has to take care of them. They have to represent them. Yeah, Chris makes a great point. The key is heads of union support Dems, but the people in the union don't get the kickbacks. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And in order to win this district, in order to flip it red, we're going to need labor, guys. That's just the way it is. We're going to need labor behind our candidate. And if you have a candidate, if we end up with someone, right, who is who is for right to work legislation, we're not going to get labor, guys. It's not going to happen. We're not going to win this district. I'm just putting it out there. That's my belief. I think that's what we're looking at, right? Well, it looks like Delano's back, but it says, just so you know, Delano, it says your device is not connected. So it says you'll need to connect your mic cam before I can add you back to the stream. So what you'll need to do is disconnect and then reconnect and turn them back on, I guess. You have to do it every time. So I can't see who joins and who doesn't. So I guess Paul said, welcome, Lemons. Hi, welcome to the stream. So it was a great conversation with Delano. If he wants to disconnect and come back, we're more than willing to continue the conversation. I thought it was great. I think we're pretty much all on the same page as far as pre-1967 Israeli border, because here's my reasoning for this, right? And I want to make this clear. These are the original borders that go back to the original founding, right, post World War II, of Israel as a nation state. It was not a secure border. There's no way to secure that border. And it's why it was under constant attack, right? And has been. So I think that we need modern answers. It sounds like everyone else is on the same page as me for that. The ones who gave answers, Delano also said that he also supports an independent Palestine. I don't know if Mont and Spencer do. If they do, then maybe get in touch with him. He can add it to the graphic. We all support Trump's immigration policies. There's really no change there. And Spencer and I both want to repeal the Patriot Act. Mont likes it, I guess, but wants to see some limits on it. So I get it. Look, the Patriot Act was sold to us, I believe, as a lie, right? We know that there's far more going on with 9/11 than the official story, right? And I'm not going to get into to all the beliefs of it and the theories, but the official story that jets brought down the tower on their own, no. If you've ever seen the way that the towers were constructed, you'll see that a plane that takes massive damage from a bird is not going to punch through a steel girder that's like, it's massive, it's huge, right? The other thing is Tower 7, right? Tower 7 never sustained any damage. It was never hit by anything. It was never, no bombs, no nothing. Tower 7, you guys remember that? Where did that even come from? They even called out over the radio the demolition of it. I don't believe the official story. I'm sorry. And it's one of the things I would like to see, unseal 9/11, unseal JFK. Oh, there we go. It looks like he might have gotten back. There we go. All right, welcome back. Thanks for rejoining us. We appreciate it. I didn't get to give you a proper send off, so I think had a little bit of lag there going on, right?
Yeah, leave it to the media. That's Trump's fault.
There you go. Everything's Trump's fault according to the media. So
yeah. Okay.
All right. Can you let's see your shirt there. I can see the top of it, but we can't really see it. Can you let's check that out.
Scaife, a better Indiana.
Oh, I like that. I like it. Cool. That's a nice shirt. I dig it. Yeah. So basically, I was just saying that. So let me ask you something, and just tell me your opinion. This isn't like a gotcha or anything like that. I just want to know your honest opinion because I asked Spencer this before. Let's say that you win the primary. Okay.
Hmm.
Do you believe that you can sway enough of the left to get elected, to get in past the general and actually win?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it'll be an issue with being a police officer? Because my, like, you see all this, hatred, right? Towards, former law enforcement. I know I'm the redheaded stepchild, right? Just being a CO and all, but I'm still former law enforcement. But
Hmm.
there's a difference between being a correctional officer and being a police officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you think that that's going to work for you or against you in the general? I know it's a pro in the primary, right? Because let's face it, Republicans love cops.
It's more of, in the general, it's more of re-educating people's
Okay.
mindsets, and especially when it comes to like places like Gary and East Chicago. I think I would have a better ahead than the other candidates because I'm a minority and they could probably relate more to me
Yeah.
as a minority. But just re-educating their minds to like just sit down and talk to them about their beliefs and what they see, uh, growth and stuff like that.
Okay.
Because that's all it's to get the Republican population to grow in places like Gary and Chicago and Hammond. You have to re-educate the people because a lot of them have conservative like values. They just don't
Yeah.
know it.
Yeah. No, that's actually a really good point because, like, I've seen over the years, right? The minority populations, all of them really have very conservative beliefs and ideals. They've just been led astray, in my opinion, to
Right.
believe that these crazy left ideas are theirs, and they're
Hmm.
not.
Yeah, and it goes back to history. Like a lot of people don't know. Like it's before the 1960s, 1950s, majority of black people were Republican.
Mm-hmm.
You see the shift kind of change when it came to the civil rights and how the majority was passed in favor for it because of the Democratic uh, administration at the time, and that kind of correlated with civil rights. Is supported by Democrats, what makes Republican bad, and it really wasn't that. And what the Democrats basically did for those decades is basically play off of that pain of inequality and injustice and kind of revert it back to the Republican side, saying they're the ones that don't want to see you grow and stuff like that. Not know, but people don't know that the Democratic Party is the one that passed the different uh, programs to kind of keep minorities at a standpoint,
Right.
not no
Right.
growth. No, and so it's just if people did their research and like understand history, American history, and just to see it for what it is, factual, that a lot more people will open their eyes and stuff like that. So
Right. Right. Yeah, and that's the other thing. There are plenty of movies out there, documentaries that have been done, but we have to educate the people. It's our job to educate the people about what being a conservative means, about what being a Republican means, because they seem to be in this victim mentality that because you don't put them above others, that somehow you believe they're less than. Whereas the Republican Party is all about equality, treating everyone the same, regardless of. Whereas I find that the Democrat Party is more of a elevate rather than treat the same. Does that
right,
make does that
right,
yeah.
but I'm reading what Chris Wells said wrong.
Oh, yeah. He says wrongly put civil rights with Dems. Yeah, it was actually the Republican Party that led the charge on that, but they were lied to, right?
No, but what I meant by that, well, when the civil rights and stuff was passed, it was more pushed by JFK, and the black leaders kind of saw JFK as the mediator between white America and black America. So they kind of, the black culture put the lid towards JFK, and that's why I said that.
Right.
The Democrats took that and they ran with it to basically divert it against the Republicans.
Yep. Yeah. And LBJ, when he took over, right, after the assassination, really jumped on that, right? Really jumped on that and said, we're going to utilize this. And LBJ was a well-known racist, right? I mean, famous for it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he just jumped on that bandwagon. And since, Kennedy had kind of made it happen, he's like, oh yeah, we're going to utilize this. And it's unfortunate because people have been lied to long enough, in my opinion. And it's time for all of us to take charge of our destiny, right? To start steering the American ship to where it needs to go. We're running against each other. We're technically, competitors, as it were, for the same seat. But I would consider pretty much any of us, with, maybe a couple of exceptions, that are running on the Republican side as a win.
Yeah.
I mean, if any of us get in, assuming, past the primary and then past the general, it would certainly be better for the region than yet another, I don't want to say yet another Democrat, because it's not the party itself. It's the people in the party who use it, but another career politician, right? Because none of us, that's one thing I can say is on the right. None of us are career politicians. None of us have been in office since, 1901.
Right. Because this is, to hold this seat, you have to have different frames to look at certain situations. You have to look at it through different lenses. You have to bring resources back to Northwest Indiana. You have to take a consideration of the disparities in Northwest Indiana. You got to understand that you have certain towns and certain cities that lack infrastructure. You have certain towns that are food deserts.
Yeah.
Like someone like La Crosse and Gary, Indiana are two different spectrums. You have to learn how to represent both spectrums. You have to understand that this is not just an election just for a position. This is a spiritual warfare. You have to see it through that eye and frame, to sit back and just look at the big picture, to see how things in Washington are trying to move, and you have to be quick and smart to stand against that and have the strength to speak out against that.
Right.
It's a big undertaking.
It is. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because there are individuals, especially on the left, but that there's no chance they're going to speak out against power, against corruption. They're going to become part of it. Right. They're just going to be another cog in the machine. And that's what I mean by, I really would consider it a win, but there are some that would speak out quicker than others. There are some running that I'm not sure have the fortitude or the ability to protect themselves if they went to Washington. That would understand that people get chewed up and spit out up there. You can go in with absolutely the best intentions, right? You can want to make all these changes. You can want to stand up for what's true and what's right. And there are people that are actively planning what they're going to do with you when you get there. They're going to set you up. They're going to do certain things. They're going to try to destroy your life. We've seen it all over. Look at Roy Moore. Where are his accusers now, right? Vanished. into the ether. It is spiritual warfare, just like you said. Chris Wells said, "I believe one wants to be a soldier for Nancy." Absolutely. He got on the radio and said, Nancy's going to love me because I'm a soldier. I want to be her soldier. And I don't know if that's a direct quote, but pretty much sums it up. Those are the kind of
he wanted to buy some
that
ice
we
cream.
want to keep out of office, right?
Right. Because, I mean, if you just, for the other side, if they just fall in line to the way that it was, you're not going to see any change. That basically Northwest Indiana is in a vulnerable state. All our industries are on the brink of collapsing.
Yeah.
And supposedly these industries are supposed to be supported by the Democratic Party, but the Democrat that's been in there allowed this to happen. Yeah. He wasn't strong enough to make a stand and put in place legislation to protect these industries.
Right.
Like, you could be an advocate all you want, but if you don't have the actions behind it to protect these industries, what's the point of, advocating for them and, just telling them what they want to hear? Like, yeah, I support you, but you don't have actions behind it. That blows my mind.
Yeah, words are words, right? Anyone can string together beautiful words and claim, I support this or I'm against that. It comes down to actions, and it comes down to, transparency and all of that. We had a congressman, right? A representative that was in there since 1985. Why did it take President Trump to actually start addressing some of the biggest issues with the steel industry? One of the, the most critical infrastructures of Northwest Indiana. It took President Trump introducing legislation, taking action to save the failing industry when we had one of the most senior congressmen out there, the guy, who's been there for so long, could have done so much. He could have stepped up and said, look, we're going to do this. I'm putting forth this, this legislation in order to get rid of all this, horrible quality steel that's undercutting the market. But he didn't. Trump did.
Yeah. And the next person that goes in, they're going to have to work their butt off.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as they're elected, they're going to have to hit the pavement going hard, because it's going to take a lot of work to get Northwest Indiana to where it can be and back on its feet. And people don't realize how important this election is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's more than just another 4-year election or 2 years or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. This election is probably the most important election at least in my adult life. Now, well, the last presidential election, 2016, that was important. That was critical. But so much has come out and so much is on the verge, right? That 2020, if we don't get out there and vote some conservatives into office, because progressivism has taken over, we're going to lose the very values that we have.
We're losing the American identity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what it boils down to. We're losing what the American dream really is, the American lifestyle, the freedoms and liberties we have. All that is going to the wayside.
Yep.
And if people support this progressiveness and socialism, obviously they haven't seen or read anything about history when it comes to Venezuela being the second most powerful countries in the Americas. They don't know how in Canada and England, with the healthcare for all, their version of healthcare for all, universal healthcare, how certain surgeries takes over a year waiting list, that most people come to America to have their certain surgeries and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's just sad how people aren't informed. They just, listen to what is being told to them by the left side, and it makes them feel good. Like, of course, it boils down to life and, Medicare, medical access. How do we get that? by giving it just to everybody is not the answer because we can't afford it.
Yeah.
And you see what happened to the VA. That's a prime example of like a little model of what America for Our is.
Yeah.
And you see what it left the soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
So we gotta do better.
We do, and I believe that there are ways. So we haven't had a chance to hear what's your idea as far as healthcare goes. Do you think that there's a way that the United States could have universal style healthcare, or do you think it's just much better to leave it completely open to the free market, like kind of like it is now?
Kind of how it is now. Like just we need to make reforms, and certain things when it comes to like the pharmaceuticals part of it, and how they're monopolizing on the money and stuff like that. And when it comes to the patents, because when you look at the Medicare system, it's so complex and so it's just so much to it. If you tackle the things that make sense when it comes to like on the economic standpoint, if you extend certain things like patents, of course it's going to bring down the cost of medicines because the creator of that won't have to price gouge it to make a profit off their patent before it goes to the market, and anyone can create it. And you see certain things like that, certain pharmaceutical companies buying patents and switching the proprietary makeup of it and get a patent on that way, and they can market up to thousands of dollars to make the money back before it goes to the market. And if we can extend the patents in a way, they won't have to do that because they can make their money because they have a couple more years to make a profit off of it. It's just certain things like that.
Okay.
So,
all right.
It just, like I said, it's just so complex, but you can address it on different levels, find ways to bring the cost down and to bring something better to the people, opposed to just giving it to everybody for free and we'll be in debt.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I definitely believe that there are solutions. I'm looking forward to when all this stuff is open and we can start actually having real debate. But I appreciate you coming on. You've been very kind. Sure, everyone appreciates it. Yeah, you bet. Again, guys, I strongly encourage everyone, like always, to learn as much as you can. For those that are intending to vote in the Republican primary, learn as much as you can about each candidate. I personally don't believe that any of the people running on the Republican side are bad people. So I think you're fairly safe there. Just learn about their platforms, learn about, who they are and their history and all of that. And hopefully coming up, we'll have, some robust debates and we can actually get into the meat and potatoes of it. So thank you again, Delano, for coming out. We're at an hour and a half, so I'm going to end it here. But seriously, we're on the same page with so much. We could really talk probably for hours.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate you for the certain gems that you drop. There's a lot of things that you brought up that goes over people's heads, and they really don't understand, like, the shift of what we used to be in or the state that we are now. And I thank you for touching on some of those points.
Yeah, Chris said he learned a lot about you tonight. And look, for those, because I've been criticized, I've been like, why are you promoting your opponents, right? It's not a promotion to me. I really legitimately want people to learn as much as possible. If they happen to follow me and don't know about someone else, that's fine. Learn about that other person, because that's the only way we're actually going to get some good people into office, is by people actually learning about who's running, comparing, this person believes this person believes this, who's going to be the best representative for the region, right? It's the only way we're going to make anything happen. I'm all about transparency. So that's where I stand. It sounds to me like you think, kind of along the same lines. So I appreciate you coming on. I'm going to cut the stream for you, but you can hang out as long as you like and continue watching. I'm not going to be on much longer. So thanks again,
All right.
Delano.
All right. Thank you, Bergeron. Thank you, everybody who's watching.
All right. That was awesome, wasn't it? I had a great time. Very, very good messages there. I think we uncovered a lot. I think, again, like I said, I think him and I are on the same page about the vast majority of stuff. Check them out. By all means, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Learn who's running for this position. Learn what they've done, what they've been through, the kind of person that they truly are, and what they represent. Graphics help, right? Like the little graphic I put up earlier, that helps. But really, it just comes down to the person. Do you believe that this person will represent your interests? And do you believe, like Delano and I talked about earlier, do you believe they'll stand up? Do you believe that they'll get on the floor of the House and call out some of this crap that's happening in our Capitol, right? Do you believe they'll get up there and say, I'm sorry, Madam Speaker, but you're crazy? No, but seriously, to call attention to some of the things that are happening, that's what you have to wonder. Right? You have to wonder when people choose. I'm referring to the left because this whole Ryan Farrar thing just happened. I'm talking about on the left. People who choose to remain silent when someone says something like that, if they won't even call out their colleagues, the people running for the same position, then they're not going to call out the people on the other side of the aisle, right? And we're talking about someone who wishes death on people. If they're not willing to call that out, if they're not willing to make a statement and say, no, I don't condone that whatsoever. And I want you guys to remember, right? What was it? Maybe a month ago, maybe two. I'll have to dig up the letter and see what the date was. But if you remember, Ryan Farrar put out a statement that if Donald Trump wins in 2020, he's going to go become one of those, quote, Second Amendment people, right? He's going to go become one of those Second Amendment people. Now, when the NWI Times reached out to some of the leading candidates on the left, they were quick to denounce that. They were quick to say, oh, no, that doesn't represent us. We don't want you to go out and buy guns. But when they say, when he says he wishes people would die, that's okay to them. I notice also that the NWI Times hasn't touched this story. Not yet. Now, it's only been a few days. I believe that the tweet was dated on the 21st. So that was Tuesday. I don't know though. They were on the whole Second Amendment thing pretty quick. I don't know. But Dave says this shows how Republicans know how to work together. And look, that's the whole point, right? And hopefully after some of the other people that are running on the right see this show, they know that I'm not trying to set anybody up. I'm not trying to, it's not a gotcha moment. It's not a debate. I think we had a great exchange. I think it shows that we agree far more than we disagree. I think the most important thing for us in Northwest Indiana is to kind of get together and say, okay, which of these candidates has a real chance of winning the general, right? Which of these candidates really could take us all the way? Because it does us no good to get through the primary with a candidate and have them fail in the general. We've made no progress. We haven't done anything. And the unfortunate thing is I'm looking at who's kind of leading on the left, and I don't like any of them. And if we don't have a strong candidate, someone who the left can kind of say, okay, yeah, I can get behind this guy. They're a little too far left for me, so I'm going to vote, to the right. Then I think we have a real problem. I do. I think that, another Democrat's going to hold this seat for a very long time. So that's why I like to show the different platforms and where we stand. I think that's important. I'd like to see some debates coming up. Everyone has their own opinion. So look, let's, you know what, here we got just a couple of minutes. I'm just gonna touch real quick. So my concern, I've said it before, right? And I kind of brought it up a little bit with Delano. My concern is we have some candidates that are, you know, very good, strong, conservative people, right? Spencer Lemons, Marine, police officer. Come on, man. Who can compete with that? But is he going to be able to pull enough votes from the left? And we agree on most stuff, but we have fundamental disagreements as far as, you know, right to work, etc. That's my thing, right? The right to work. Are we going to be able to pull those votes? Because we need labor, guys. In order to win the general, we're going to need labor behind us, not the union leadership, but the members of the union. We're going to need them to vote, or it's going to be pointless. And if you are for right to work laws, especially I know because I was there. If any one of you attended the FOP, he has a question mark here for here. Let me put it back up. There's a question mark here for Mont, right? But I know that Mont believes very strongly in right to work laws. He likes them just like they are. He said at the FOP that he's not going to vote for anything that would interfere with the current way that right to work laws are set up. So I think that's an issue. I'm going to zoom this out. If anybody wants to grab a screenshot and take a look, I'll add it to the comments of this video. But I appreciate Mr. Scaife coming on and kind of filling in the blanks as to this. There you go. As to this, you know, the questions that are on this. Okay. Chris Wells pointed out a lot of labor guys vote 2A before right to work. Yes, that is true. That's I would agree with that, which is why here's the thing, they can have both. There's a candidate that, you know, the back of my truck is literally the Second Amendment. But here's the thing, like I said before, I don't see it as a loss if pretty much, let's say if 3 out of 5 of the people on this list here get the nomination. I worry about the general. I really do. And that's what it comes down to for me is, and look, there's every possibility that no matter which one of the people, right, it ends up being the presumptive nominee or the nominee for the Republican Party, anything is possible, right? We may not win anyway. It may go left. And if that does happen, then when redistricting happens and Michigan City ends up in District 2, then I'll just go, well, you know, sorry about it. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that we can turn it red. I believe we can. The numbers say we can. The attitude says we can. The majority is with our president, right? And I support Donald Trump. I don't agree with everything he says and does. There are times when I'm like, dude, really? But I support him. But I support Northwest Indiana first. I support District 1 first. If there is something that, you know, is pushed by the party. And that's another thing that kind of touch on just for a moment. There are certain people, especially on the left, but not only on the left, that have party backing because I believe they'll do what the party wants. And that's an issue for me. I want to do what's best for the district, not what's best for the Republican Party. I'm a Republican, right? I have Republican values, but I don't worship the party to the level of doing something that may end up not being best for the district just because it's best for the party. That concerns me, right? So I appreciate all of you coming out and sticking around for one of the longest videos I've done. But I think we had a great time. And to let you know, let's see, tomorrow I have a friend of mine that I worked with at the prison. His name is Ralph Calhoun, and he now works at the Mills. He's going to come and be on the stream. He has some questions for me. We'll see how it goes. I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie, because he hasn't told me what these questions are or any of that. So we'll see. And then coming up, we have Mr. Joe Haney, who is running for, I believe, county commissioner. I'm gonna have to double check. I'll have all the information on that, but that is going to be on Wednesday. And we have a couple of other people that have talked about being, up there. So coming on the show, there's been some different interests. So I appreciate everybody. Thank you, and talk to you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Remember, let me give you this. If you want a certain question broadcast on the show, if you have a question for me, if you have a question for a guest, you can email it to talk@dionbergeron.com, or you can visit dionbergeron.com and check out Laporte Commission. Okay. Paul reminded me. It's hard to keep all this straight. Laporte County, isn't it? Because he was in Michigan City. It has to be Laporte County, I'm guessing. So Laporte County Commission, commissioners. So, yep. So, all right. I appreciate it. God bless you, and God bless the USA.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Sean Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2020. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.